Well, hey everyone, and welcome to Rise Online tonight. I'm so excited that you're here with us, but I want you to know that right now, however many teens are watching, there are more teenagers that are not watching. And that's sad. It's sad for them because we're gonna have a lot of fun tonight. We're gonna play a game that is very appropriate for the situation that we're in right now, and it's going to give you the opportunity to win a $5 Starbucks gift card. We're gonna have some awesome singing from some of our teenagers, and we're gonna have a message that's gonna help all of us through whatever struggle we're facing right now or the struggles we might face ahead. Tonight is going to be an awesome night. We want to give you this time, the next 2 minutes, to just invite anyone and everyone. Maybe check with some teens that you think might be watching, but you want to make sure they're involved and they're having fun with you. Go invite some teens that maybe have never been a part of our teen group before. Let them know that there's something happening tonight, something happening right now. We want to give a chance for everyone to be able to get on here before we start our game. So 2 minutes, go out, share this link, let people know, and then get back in here for our game time coming up. 2 minutes.
Hey guys, welcome back to Rise Online this week. We're gonna go ahead and start game time. This week we're playing a game called What's Behind the Mask. So you guys are gonna have a picture pop up on your screen. You'll have 15 seconds to determine one of 3 options of what's behind said mask. It can be a person, it can be an emoji, it can be food. Take 15 seconds, guess from the multiple choice, and then go to the chat and you're gonna put question number with A, B, or C, whatever option you think. And then at the end of tonight, we're going to tally up and see who won. Good luck, guys.
right now, as we transition and focus our minds, our hearts, our eyes completely on God, we're about to hear a song from 3 of our teen girls. And it's a song that reminds us that God is so much greater than we could ever even put into words, than we can really ever even fathom. That we could list 10,000 reasons why God is so good, and it still wouldn't even scratch the surface of all that God has done for us. It's an incredible song. I want you to listen to it, enjoy it, and then we're going to dive into our Bible lesson.
Bless the Lord, oh my soul, worship His holy name. Sing like never before, oh my soul, I'll worship Your holy name. The sun comes up, it's a new day dawning. It's time to sing Your song again. Whatever may pass and whatever lies before me, let me be singing when the evening comes. Bless the Lord, oh my soul, worship His holy name. Sing like never before, oh my soul, I'll worship Your holy name. You're rich in love and You're slow to anger. Your name is great and Your heart is kind. For all Your goodness I will keep on singing. 10,000 reasons for my heart to find. Bless the Lord, oh my soul, worship His holy name. Sing like never before, oh my soul, I'll worship Your holy name. And on that day when my strength is failing, the end draws near and my time has come, still my soul will sing Your praise unending. 10,000 years and then forevermore. Bless the Lord, oh my soul, worship His holy name. Sing like never before, oh my soul,
since this pandemic started, we've been taking the time to go through the process of becoming battle ready. We must understand that we do not have to lose our battles. Those struggles that we face, and so often we feel like every time it comes, we just fail. No matter what we try to do, we don't have to fail. It's an option. Victory is an option too. But in order to have victory, we need to make sure we're prepared before the next attack comes. Because it's not our strength in the heat of the worst moment that just powers us through those battles. And we know that because we've tried that and failed. I've been there. I'm sure you have been too. It's not our strength in the moment of battle. It's how we prepare before that moment that decides the outcome of our struggle. Last week, as we continued to study these aspects of becoming battle ready, we began to go even deeper. Ephesians 6, verse 16 started out by saying, above all. And the Bible actually puts a heightened emphasis on these last few aspects of our preparation. And that means we need to pay even closer attention to what that means for us today. Today we're going to take a look at Ephesians 6 and verse 17 and the next aspect of becoming battle ready. But I want to remind you of what we talked about last week if you weren't able to join us. You can find the video on our YouTube playlist, but I'm going to wrap it up for you pretty quickly. And if you have any questions, you can watch last week's video to catch yourself up. But the verse before Ephesians 6:17, we saw that faith is our shield. Now, most outside of the church, they look at faith as something that leaves you vulnerable, right? That you're getting rid of any evidence and any thought process. You're leaving yourself vulnerable if you're stepping out in faith. And yet those that claim that are often shielding themselves off from God. They're shielding themselves off from faith and seem to not be interested in finding a solution to the struggles they face. Because we see that the same world that says, no, we don't want anything to do with faith in God, we see that they continually suffer with some of these exact things we've been talking about. These battles against fear and depression and addiction and temptation that just leave us feeling defeated. It's almost like they choose that their battle is going to be against God and they're shielding themselves from Him. The God that loves every single person unconditionally. The God that gives us a step-by-step process so we can turn around and instead, with the shield of faith, block off those attacks from the struggles we find defeat us the most. The Bible tells us that taking faith and living by it in everything we do will protect us not just from some of the attacks of our enemy. If you look in that verse 16, it says all the fiery darts, all of the attacks of our enemy, of our struggle in the battle we know we face. Faith is our shield against all of it. When we prepare by walking in faith, believing what God tells us to do, that faith will become our protection when the sneak attacks come for us, because we've already got our shield ready to protect ourselves. Now we're going to take a look at this next step. And remember, above all, it's important. This one we need to pay attention to, just like last week. Ephesians 6:17 starts out by saying this, and take the helmet of salvation. Don't forget, these are huge. These last few aspects, yes, all of them are important. But when the Bible emphasizes above all, we need to pay close attention. So What is so important about the helmet of salvation? Salvation at its root is what Jesus Christ freely offers to every single person. Because those struggles that you know that you face, while some may seem different, sometimes we've got all these different struggles coming at us all at once, but sometimes they attack at different times too. And yet they all come from one specific source, and that is sin. All the wrong that is in our world, that sin, it creates the struggles we face, and it's the source of the wrong things that we do. The love of Jesus for you, that changed everything. Because it brought him, Jesus Christ, to the place where he willingly took the punishment for sin when he had done no wrong. Jesus, being just, taking the punishment for the unjust, people like me who mess up, people like you who mess up and make mistakes. Jesus taking that punishment gives him the ability to free us from the pain and burden of our struggles, mistakes, and failures. Salvation is Jesus saying, I have freed you from what is causing you grief and heartache in your life. We receive that salvation simply by trusting that what Jesus did is enough to forgive us and free us from our sin. So what in the world does all of that have to do with a helmet? The Bible uses that picture of a helmet to describe what salvation is doing for us in our battle. Specifically, when we're engaged in this struggle that we are facing in our life, salvation plays the part of a helmet. How does that work? How does that make sense? And how is it important for the struggle that you keep battling and feel like you always keep losing? How does it work? I want you to think about a little bit of what we talked about last week and summarized at the start. Our world's biggest claim about faith is that it lacks strength, evidence, leaves us vulnerable. Yet the Bible proves that to be the exact opposite. It uses a shield as what protects us, what is so obviously and evidently there because it keeps us safe from all of the attacks that we face, and it makes us stronger. The Bible shows us in the illustration of what faith does for us in battle, it shows us it's the exact opposite of what our world claims about it. So now we move on to salvation. I want you to think, what is the world's biggest problem, biggest complaint about the Bible's view of salvation? What's their biggest problem? They're fine with you believing whatever you want to, right? We live in a culture that wants to include everyone. So if you believe whatever you believe, you're fine. As long as you think that a different way for others to believe, well, that's fine for them. We understand, we hear that often, that that's okay, that we're going to respect whatever belief anyone has. But the moment that you would claim that salvation only comes through one God, that Jesus is the only one that provides a way of escape, well, suddenly you're described as what? The word that's thrown around, the phrase, is closed-minded. Have you heard that? That you're closed-minded if you think that there's only one way to get to heaven, that there's only one way to salvation, that you need to allow yourself to be more open-minded because you might be wrong. Yet the same people that tell you to be more open-minded seem to be the most confused about why there is so much evil and wrong in the world and in their life. That's often where the depression, the anxiety, even the addictions that we face come from our mindset. And we become confused. Why does all this happen? Why does it have to be this way? Why is there sickness and dying? Why am I struggling so much with so many different things? We usually then see people blame God, say that's a reason that God doesn't exist, all while saying you need to be open-minded for what everyone else thinks. It's all about the mind. So isn't it interesting that the Bible describes salvation as your helmet as you prepare for battle? Because the helmet protects your head. Without your brain, you cannot think clearly. In fact, you can't think at all. You won't be able to live without your head on your shoulders. In battle, you have to keep your head protected. And the same is true for the battles we face in our life. Those battles that aren't with physical weapons, with guns and ammunition. Those battles that maybe no one else sees you going through, but you know how hard it is to even get up and go through this day. You know that struggle. And just as important as a helmet is for someone that's going out to war to protect their head, the Bible shows us we need a helmet in the battle we face as well. I understand the meaning behind saying that you are closed-minded, that you're not open to others or you're not receiving of others and their opinions. I'm not saying that we shouldn't be accepting of everyone. That's not the case at all. In fact, Christ shows us his love extends to absolutely anyone and everyone, no matter who they are, what they've done, what they've believed in the past. God loves each and every person that's walking on this planet right now. And he shows us we're supposed to love others like he does. So obviously, we're supposed to love and accept people just as they are. But just because other people have different opinions does not mean all opinions are equal and valid. It just isn't the case. And just like in real warfare, without your brain, you can't think clearly. So if you just let anything and everything run through your mind, maybe all of this is true. What is truth? If we leave our mind completely wide open to let all of that go in and conflicting thoughts, because every opinion can't have equality when every religion is not equal. Even those that would claim not to be religious, their thought process, their view of the world and of life in general, they're not all the same, so they can't be equally valid. There are differences, and we recognize that, so there has to be a difference in what these opinions mean for how we're going to go out and live our life. You're going to walk into battle so confused, so discombobulated if you don't have some type of focus on what is right and what is going on that is truth and what is not. You're going to walk into your struggle and have no clue what your plan should be. How do I get through this? There's so many different thoughts that we're told we need to accept all of them. And suddenly you're just standing there clueless while your struggle doesn't wait. You know, normally your struggle comes when you're least prepared for it, when you never see it coming, and suddenly you find yourself defeated all over again. Your battle wants you to question whether it's something you can overcome at all. It wants you to be confused about whether you could ever escape that temptation that's weighing you down, that fear that constantly comes into your life, whatever it is you're struggling with. That enemy that we face wants us to be confused, wants us to not be thinking clearly And it takes a clear mind to win your battle. So you need to know what's true about some things in life so you can be protected from what is not. It sounds great to say that every religion is valid, but every religion is very different. They require very different things. Normally, religions ask you to give something different to every god that is available in order to achieve salvation from each one. That you've got to do this to please that God, give this amount of money to please that one, go on this trip and this journey and do so many things to please this religion and this God. So let me tell you why in the case of salvation, it's not only okay to be closed-minded, it's necessary for you to be able to get through your struggle. You've got to narrow it down and focus on what is accurate and what is true. How do you know? If you're just joining us for the first time or you've had these doubts about how do I know this is legit? How do I know that this is the real one when there are so many different religions and even different people that are teaching different things about Jesus Christ himself? How do I know what is accurate? You might feel like you have to allow yourself to be open to anything and everything, but at the same time, you're leaving yourself open for attack. So I want to show you 2 reasons that we can understand and know how to close in our mind on what is true when it comes to salvation. First, Jesus is the only God that came for you. He's the only one that came for you. Every other religion, even some false teachers about Jesus, will claim you have to be good enough, you have to pay enough, or do enough to earn salvation. But Jesus left his word so we could know something that's actually pretty obvious. We're never going to be good enough. We're just not. We can try as much as we can, but you know just as much as I know. We can't be perfect. We make mistakes. We have mistakes in our past, and we're probably going to have some mistakes in our future. We mess up. We can't be good enough. We never will be. And Jesus, knowing that fact, did something no God from any other religion has ever claimed to do. He came for us. He came for us. He left his glory to face our agony. He set aside perfection to take on our imperfections. If salvation is really attainable, it has to come from someone that has the ability to actually save us, because we can't do it ourselves. We know that. And so it has to come from someone that could, someone that was perfect, someone that could say, I don't deserve the punishment of mistakes, but I'm going to take them in their place. That's what Jesus did. Jesus Christ is the only one that could do something about it, and he did. He came for us. But not only that, Jesus is the only God that proved his salvation is true. All these other religions will tell you, do this and this and this, and you'll get this in heaven, or you'll get to do this after your life is over. Or in the case of some, there's nothing after life. Just do whatever you want. But you can notice and you can research that they don't have any way to prove to you that that's the case. None of them have been to what happens after death. None of them can say, I know for sure you do these things, guaranteed you're going to be okay, or you're going to get this. They promise you these things. You just got to hope that doing all of that to attain it is actually going to happen. But Jesus proved his salvation is true. Because when Jesus claimed he had power over sin and death in our lives, he didn't just say it and walk off. No, He, taking our punishment, died for us and then brought himself back from the dead to guarantee to you that you actually can be free from pain and death and the struggles of life. He didn't just claim it, he proved it because he took it all and he rose victorious over death. He claimed victory over the one aspect of humanity that no one else ever could. Jesus went to the grave and came back not just to tell us about it, but to show us, I'm giving you a life that goes beyond this one. And I'm proving it standing in front of you by leaving it recorded thousands of years later. This happened. There were eyewitnesses. They wrote it down. They recorded it meticulously so you could know. Jesus isn't one of these religious teachers that talks a big game and has no proof whatsoever. No, Jesus proved it himself. He's the only one that came for you, and he's the only one that proved his salvation is true. So when Jesus says, I am the way, the truth, and the life, no man cometh unto the Father but by me, that sounds very exclusive, doesn't it? It sounds very close-minded and exclusive. It's because Jesus is exclusively the only one that came to you instead of telling you how you can get yourself to God if you're good enough. And he is exclusively the only one that brought proof along with his claims about salvation. By all measures, however you want to do it, by all measures of logic and reason and faith and evidence, Jesus is exclusively the only way of salvation from your struggle, your sin, and death itself. You should absolutely be accepting of all people, but you don't have to accept all opinions as your own or all opinions as valid and equal, because they are not all equal. When you first protect your mind from false views of salvation, you're now ready to conquer the things you need salvation from in your everyday life. Because yes, when we trust in Jesus to give us salvation from sin and to give us new life, we are forever freed from that sin. But just like every other part of this armor, this process of becoming battle ready that we've been talking about over the past few weeks, just like every other part, you've got to put it on and take it with you for it to help you in this specific setting, for it to help you in the struggle that you've been facing night in and night out. Or every once in a while, you just feel those attacks of fear and depression and addiction and worry, heartache, the brokenness. It's fighting you. If you want victory over that, it's not enough to just say, I had salvation once. No, you've got to come to the place where you say, I'm living in the salvation. I'm putting it on, and every single day I am walking in it. If salvation is Jesus freeing us from sin, pain, and the struggles of life, what does that mean about the struggle you're facing right now? It means you're already freed from it. You're already free from that struggle. You'd say, no, I'm not. I have struggles every day, and I certainly don't feel free because I feel the pain from it. That's where our mindset comes into play. If your thoughts are filled with the amount of failures you've experienced, you're going to look at your next battle the exact same way. Here comes another defeat. Been here before, done that, and our mindset is completely based on our past failures, that we couldn't get through it on our own, so we look at the next one and say it's going to happen again. That's become our mindset. But if your mind is protected by the salvation of Jesus Christ, I have been freed from that thing that I struggle with the most. That means it doesn't define me. It does not get to claim victory over me because Jesus has already claimed victory over it. That sin, that fear, that depression, that struggle that you can name in your own life has no ownership over you. If you've experienced salvation from it all through Christ, you have victory. You don't have to give in. When salvation encompasses your thought process, sin no longer has the magnetic pull that lulls you into defeat. Failure becomes a choice, not a foregone conclusion. Because you can walk into your day, and before that battle ever comes, you can say, Jesus Christ has already forgiven me, freed me, and saved me from that struggle. It's a whole new perspective on our battle because we no longer view it as insurmountable. It's already been defeated because of my salvation. I'm reminded of this song. In the chorus, it goes like this. It says, "Who is like the Lord our God, strong to save and faithful in love? My debt is paid and the victory won. The Lord is my salvation." Don't go through one more day believing your defeat is inevitable, because it's not. If the Lord is your salvation, you are already freed from whatever sin, whatever struggle weighs you down the most. So allow salvation to be at the forefront of your thoughts. And there will be no doubt whether you can be victorious or not. It's already won through your salvation. I want you to focus in right now, because this is a very important part of our service tonight. If you have never heard this view of salvation, that Jesus is the only one that has come for you, and he's the only one that can free you from the sin and pain that binds you, or if you've never believed he could really do that for you, he wants to do it in your life right now, tonight. It can happen. The Bible makes it very simple. If you believe that Christ dying in your place will forgive you, and you tell him you want that forgiveness, it's yours. As simple as that. You believe Jesus died in your place so he could forgive you, and you tell him about it. That's it. It's no complicated process of give this, do this, go to this place, say these exact words. It's none of that. You just gotta let him know, I believe that and I want that in my life. Because if you're like me, the struggles wear you down. You come to the point where you just can't handle it anymore. Tired of the hurt, the heartache, and the pain. And the answer is only found in Jesus Christ. If you know you never had a relationship with God or Jesus, your freedom, your victory over your battle, it starts by accepting his forgiveness, his salvation. All you've got to do is accept it. So let Jesus know right now. Jesus. Just talk to him. If you don't know what to say, it doesn't have to be some long sentence. You've got to memorize it. None of that. I'll even give you some words you can say if you don't know what to say, but you know in your heart, I want that. Just tell him, Jesus, I believe in you to forgive my sins. Just something like that. Tell him, Jesus, I believe in you to forgive my sin. If you just made that decision, you believe it, and you asked Christ and told him, I believe in you to forgive my sins, you made that decision, Or maybe you'd like to have a discussion about Jesus, about what you've just learned in regards to salvation and a relationship with God. You're not quite sure, but you want to know more. Either way, whether you just accepted him or you want to ask more questions, I'm going to ask you to text the word "Know Jesus" to 555-888. You text that "Know Jesus" to 555-888, and I'll be in contact with you personally. I want to help you either discover what it means that Jesus Christ paid the penalty for your wrongs and your sin, or I want to be able to help you now that you've believed in that personally. I want to help you in your next steps of growing closer to God. So text that number, "Know Jesus" to 555-888. And if you're watching tonight and you've already experienced the salvation of Jesus Christ, don't leave it in your past. Leave it in your mind. Allow it to become the helmet you wear every day as you prepare for battle. When you are constantly reminding yourself, "I'm free from that temptation through Christ, so I don't have to do it. I'm free from that addiction, even though it's been haunting me for so long. It doesn't have to defeat me or define me any longer." Salvation means you're free from your struggle. Salvation is your protection from falling to something you already have victory over. So go live in that freedom and protection that salvation gives to you. And start by committing to Christ right now that you're not going to live with that same old mindset any longer. That your mindset is now completely focused on what Christ has saved you from and not on what your past has been. Tell Jesus, "I'm committing to have your salvation be what my mind is focused on." Tell him something like that. Let him know, "I'm committing, I'm going to live in this." Because it will protect you when you face your battle, knowing you already have victory over it. You don't have to let it win. Tell Jesus, "I'm committing to have your salvation be what my mind is focused on." If you just made that decision, I'm going to ask you to go and share it with all the other teenagers that are watching with you right now, so we can celebrate what God is doing in our lives together, even while we're apart. I'm going to ask you, go to the live chat and send this message: "Salvation is my protection." Salvation is my protection. It will be when you live out that commitment to God and view your battle the way that God does. Your struggle has already been defeated. So live in that freedom. Share that decision with everyone else here tonight. Salvation is my protection. Let's go ahead now. Close this message in a word of prayer to God. Dear God, we want to thank you for what your salvation means to us. Lord, you are the only true way to the forgiveness we need to face our struggles and actually find victory. Because on our own, we are not good enough. Your salvation, it gives us the victory already. To something that's defeated us for so long, you say the victory's already yours because I've given you salvation from it. So Lord, I pray that as we think about salvation, what you've done for us, that we would realize it's something we need to wear with us, to keep in our mind every moment of every day. Jesus gave me salvation to free me from this sin, this struggle, this hurt, so I can have victory over it. Lord, our mindset, being focused on salvation, is one of the biggest keys to us getting victory over the battles we normally are defeated by. I pray you'd help us to continue to become battle ready by living with your salvation. on our minds. We love you. We thank you that you've given us this battle plan so we can become ready for our struggles. It's in your name we pray. Amen. I want to thank you so much for watching with us tonight. Before we say goodbye for now, we're going to go over and check the answers to the game we just played at the beginning of this service. Check out the answers, and then we'll give you the winner in the live chat after the answers are revealed. Well, I want to thank you so much for joining us tonight for Rise Online. I'm so glad that we're still able to worship together even through YouTube. It's been an awesome experience. It's been awesome to have you guys here tonight. But I'll let you know, I miss seeing you guys in person. And that's why our church is doing something very different and very unique this Sunday. Normally, we have our Rise Zoom parties on Sundays at 5 p.m. We get to see each other face to face, have some fun and games, but we know it's just not the same as being with each other in person. What we're doing this Sunday night, we're gonna do, instead of a Rise Zoom party, a Rise drive-through party. Our church is having what we're calling Maranatha Social Sunday, and it's gonna be this drive-in where you can come with your family, your parents in the car. You stay in your car because obviously we're still doing social distancing. Can't have that large group, but we can all still come on the church property. We're gonna have different locations set up, giving you guys awesome items and things that are top secret, but they're really cool. I've seen some of them. I've helped get some of those ordered, and it's going to be awesome. We're gonna try to have some of our teen workers and me and my wife Stacia, we're gonna be there waiting for you so we get to see you face to face. Once again, we really miss you guys, and we would love to be able to see you for this drive-through party we're having at the church. That's this Sunday night, starting at 6 p.m. We would love to see you here, be able to give you some gifts, and be able to say hi face to face once again. It's gonna be awesome. I can't wait to see you there. One last thing before we go, and that's the fact that we're not actually done tonight, but we are going to be face to face through Zoom. We're having our Rise breakout groups, and this is a time where we get to communicate with each other, just to be able to talk again, be able to share some of the things that are going on in our lives, be able to talk about some of the things we've learned about salvation tonight, about how it helps us in our struggles. It's okay to admit you have a struggle. You don't have to say what it is, but we all face something. It's okay to admit, I needed this. It's okay to admit something you learned about it. And it's okay to say, hey, I need prayer for this in my life, or someone I know is struggling. That's what these Rise breakout groups are all about. A way for us to connect while we're apart and also be able to grow each other spiritually in our relationship with God. We'd love for you to join us for these breakout groups. Different Rise leaders will be sending out texts for the link. If you don't get one of those texts, or you're new and this is your first time joining us, please make sure you look in the live chat or in the comments below this video. We'll have the link to a breakout group just for you. We'd love to say hi, welcome you to our teen group. I know you're gonna enjoy the interaction you can have with some of the other teenagers that will be joining us. So make sure right after this, you click on one of those links and join us for our breakout groups. We look forward to seeing you there, and then have a great night.